Peter Gabriel with Sledgehammer. The tunes just get better and better today. I have not heard that song, I think, since I had a full hairline. That was a long time ago. We've got No Sport Billy with us today. He is in Neisner, just recovering from a little bout of something. We have, though, someone, I wouldn't say of equal ilk, because I think it's unfair on both gents. You know, they both have their own pedigrees. We're joined the line by none other than Mr. Gareth Rossley. Gareth, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, there's always that sort of like that moment where is the Skype connection good or is it going to be sketchy? So we can hear you loud and clear. That's very good. Gareth, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. I really battled to intro people on the show because you know you don't want to overcook someone, but then again you don't want to just leave them there saying this is Gareth. Now, I got to know you through the days of Sports Illustrated magazine, which is sadly no longer with us. The Sports Illustrated essay, where you were the online guy. So very much sport, having obviously gone to one of the best traditional boys' schools in the country, along with my co-anchor Simply Sean here. You guys went to Rondebosch together. I don't know if you were friends in the lunch line. Sean was looking distant. I want to go with no.
Guys, I'm just having a bit of an issue. I've got about 4 versions of you coming through, so can I just try and close that down quickly?
About 4 versions of it? Okay. You're quite a vigorous double clicker.
That's a horrible sight.
Yeah, I know. One's better. Hold on a second.
Is that 4 audio versions, or do you just see as times 4?
Just for, like audio version after audio version, yeah.
Oh,
it's
gosh.
like you're saying nice things about me over and over again.
Yeah, well, let's put a stop to that early. I don't want to get you big-headed in your first 2 minutes here on Blogs on Balls.
Is that better? That's better.
Okay, great. So I was just saying, obviously, your background from Sports Illustrated essay, and now with arenasport.co.za, but now is of great interest to me on the site on the bounce.co.za currently is the essay swimsuit edition. You want to tell us a little bit about that quickly?
Obviously, the guy to produce swimming magazine, and they've now gone and partnered with Sofika and the African Swimsuit magazine. Used to keep doing that, and my new little digital company is doing all the media for that. So at least the good part of my old job I still get to do, which is awesome.
Very interesting. Of course, you went with the girls last year to Thailand to shoot the magazine. The SA Swimsuit magazine itself is coming out in October, if I am correct. Are you?
Yeah, similar timing.
Okay, right. So you're going to be hands-on from start to finish there again.
Yeah, we're going to have to go away again on that trip. But somebody's got to do it, and I'll have to just slide through. I think we're going in June. So.
Okay. Very good, Gareth. Look, I know we've been.
Since you guys are calling me again, what's going on?
I don't know. We're definitely not calling you again. It seems that there's so much going on your side. Speaking of a lot going on, each week on the Bounce Studios we do showcase 3 of the girls from this competition, which you are running so diligently. We have a blog star because all the girls need to get obviously votes in order to progress to the final stages, and then of course they have these stars, which then sort of, let's just say, enhance their chances of being in the magazine itself. So this week, Sean, have you picked your favourite yet? We've got Yolandi, we've got Cindy, and we've got Laura.
It was tough. It's a competitive category as always. It's always competitive. But my vote for what it's worth goes to Cindy.
Cindy's our winner, according to Sean. Well, if you go into the bounce.co.za, it is on the homepage. There's a blog star contestants for this week. The girl with the most votes come Friday at midday receives the blog star. Yeah. So Gareth,
say, Ben, I continue to be surprised by the quality of your eye. Obviously, a lot of great entrants there, but you always unearth a couple of gems there. But it's a great competition, and it's lovely to see the girls getting a go on the bounce there, and some good selections coming through.
Thanks. I put my trained eye down to the fact that I grew up in the era of Baywatch. I think younger and older people might not have got that sort of bubble. Anyway, it's all about just looking natural, wholesome, and fun and sporty on the bounce. You know, we like to keep things light and interesting. But enough about the girls, Gareth. We are, of course, no Sport Billy with us today. What we normally do with Sport Billy is he has Sport Willy of the week. So we're going to, out of respect for him, not have that this week. And quite frankly, we can't think of anyone to give the Icon Award to either. So we're going to go straight into our discussion point. Now, I was really excited to bring you in. Obviously, you're the online guy as well for arenasport.co.za. Is arenasport.co.za?
Yeah.
Okay, now on that site, you do a thing every single morning where you can basically go onto the site and the top stories come through your commentary, which you compile very well on a daily basis. So you're very much abreast of what goes on. Look at that, using swimsuit puns already. It's past that now. You're very much in touch with all the sort of things that go by. So just chatting as you do, as all our sports guys do, chatting over a couple of beers with some mates. We had a discussion topic over the weekend of which guy has individually cocked his sport up the most. So straight away, a couple of names come to mind. So what I've got here, and how we're going to conduct this discussion, is that I've got a list of a few people. Now what I'm going to do is then basically throw this out, and then for you and Sean basically to dissect these candidates and work out who's actually cocked up their sport the most. Now another thing to bring into mind is that some sports are obviously more important than others. So
yeah, all sports are not created equal,
no?
That's for sure.
Definitely.
I couldn't agree more.
So we have bypassed the figure skating scandals in the past.
Oh dear, I was hoping we could get onto that, because that was fantastic.
No, look, the scandals only enhance the smaller sports. We'll actually look in the guys who actually study the good name of the sport just through their general cockness. So we're going to start with, I've got a list here, so just bear with me as I go off mic for a second. Sean, if you can say something relatively continuity-ish right now.
Well, sure. Well, I have your list here, Ben. I have your list here.
You do?
Yeah. First name you gave me this morning was Mike Tyson.
Yes, okay, great. Sean, your co-anchoring is getting better by the week. Okay, guys, so we're going to start with the list. I'm just going to go through it. Mike Tyson. I'm going to give my criteria as to why these guys are on the list. I think there was never a lot of class in boxing. Let's not get too excited about it. But there was always a bit of integrity. And I think when Iron Mike started sort of doing jail time for rape, biting ears, getting face tattoos, and all that kind of stuff, the sport for me has kind of soured. Soured to the point where Floyd Money Mayweather is the biggest attraction. The Klitschko brothers are as boring as IPL. And, quite frankly, MMA is now a bigger sort of draw card in America because of the void that's being left. And I think Mike could have been a catalyst, along with Don King. They were a dodgy duo.
Well, it's interesting, because that's obviously a sport where O's get in the ring and moor other O's, so it's difficult to kind of drag it down too far. But if you consider MMA and all that stuff, is boxing not perhaps a bit sterile? And maybe Tyson, one of the few guys that try to spice it up with some rather dodgy highlights and lowlights throughout his career. I don't know.
I think this is the great thing about this discussion, is that it's kind of open, because the people who I've potentially deemed as ruining it for some might have actually made the sports. They might have put them on the map, so to speak. So again, I'm just going to run through the names, then we can go into our favorites a bit more depth. Next up, I've got
interrupting me.
No, don't worry. It's all about being interactive. We got Marion Jones up next. Now, I don't think any of us are big fans of women's track athletics. That's not because we're sexist. I just think there's other more interesting sports. But
it's just one of your typecast doping stories, though, which means I think Marion Jones always has to be in the bracket when we're talking about these folks.
It is, because she did jail time for this as well, and the sport has taken a huge slump since then. I think that the last Olympics was actually the last time that it's sort of going back into just being sort of, I don't know, you can take it seriously again. Marion Jones was obviously that clean-cut figure. She was a great example to, obviously, like the inner city youth as well. They always put that onto any sort of famous black person's mantle, unfortunately, which I think is quite rough on them. Not only are they trying to compete against everybody, but now they've got added responsibility. But Marion got out there, did the drugs, and yeah, that was that. It was the sport buggered.
For one thing, what I hate with like scandal like Marion Jones is when you lie about it, and then it comes out years later that you did it. Now, I know, obviously, the people are lying about it when they're doing it. They're being dishonest. But it's that nature of Marion Jones achieves this. We have years of going, wow, what an incredible achievement by Marion Jones. And then later it comes out, and then we have to retrospectively change our memory and our respect for these people. That, to me, just irritates me.
And the sport is the biggest loser there, because now you're second-guessing everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Gareth, our next one is John Hopiata. Now, if you listen to last week's show, John was the guy with the rather busy fingers in rugby league.
Yeah, he's a beaut, huh?
He was a
checking the oil was the term.
So 97.
Yeah, so he was suspended for 12 weeks because of his actions against the North Queensland Cowboys. Again, I don't want to watch rugby league. That's happening. That's sort of shenanigans.
Yeah, no, that's. I've heard some stories that it's quite a popular occurrence in water polo, but in rugby league on a rugby field, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
I've heard Aussie rules as well. I heard it's come up in Aussie rules. I first saw it in a movie. There's some movie, I forget the name of.
No, Sean, keep it a sport.
No, it was some like kind of trying to make it look like a kind of documentary-esque thing about Aussie rules.
Jeez,
And one character popped up and said, "In the days, it will be a thumb up the bum." And I thought that made time stop for me.
I tell you what, you're battling for scripts if you're taking an Aussie rule story with thumbs up bums. Okay, next we got Mark Maguire, that fiery ginger who took a lot of steroids. And, this bugs me as well because American sports don't sit well with me because I don't think there's much all-round talent going in. And all this guy had to do was wake up, hit a ball. It's not hard, and he needs to take steroids and that's all he has to do. Baseball took a new low after that for me.
One thing about Mark Maguire that we don't, obviously baseball's quite a smaller sport than it is in the States, to put it mildly. But his batting record was like exceptional. And Mark Maguire was a serious superstar when it came to baseball.
Well, he had a better record than Babe Ruth. I think he went.
The ratio of home runs that you hit is better than the Babe Ruth's.
He got a home run every 10.6 times at bat.
We read the same Wikipedia page, I think.
I don't read Wikipedia. I follow these things. I went to gingersportstars.com. But anyway, yeah. So Gareth, those are some of the sort of lesser ones. Is there anyone that's, before we move into the Hall of Fame, I mean, my Hall of Fame personally is Luis Suarez, Lance Armstrong, Oscar Pistorius, and Hansi Cronje. Those are my four, which I'm going to put some time into with you today. Is there anyone else that sort of sullies sport on a lesser scale in your mind?
Yeah, the one that I thought was pretty interesting, and I think especially because I knew you're going to chat about Armstrong, and not an individual, but I think, if you look at Armstrong and guys being so surprised about cyclists taking drugs, there's also been some great ones in the comrades over the years, running, guys taking taxis, guys.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Put their watches on, the twins or whoever they were. So, I mean, I thought those were pretty special, and then obviously not quite on the league of the guys that you mentioned there, but it's quite interesting. And I think maybe running took a little bit of a pounding if you count it as a sport.
Well, yeah, again another debate. Something that I do find kind of interesting is that you don't know these guys, but they're in smaller sports, but it's just as detrimental. I mean, someone taking a taxi in the comrades. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. It really is. I mean, it's pretty. Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
And still to this day, John Wallen does not lift it down in the afternoon show. Okay, guys. So, are you ready to move on to the Hall of Famers?
I am.
Okay.
I think we've got some special ones in the Hall of Fame. Let's crack on now.
Okay, so I mentioned mine four, but I'm going to let you actually carry on now. So you let rip, and then we're going to go on from there.
Yeah, well, I wasn't surprised when you mentioned this was a topic because I know that my good friend Billy and I share a common what's it? Not a brain, half a brain cell. But I'm firmly in the Hansi Cronje camp here. The other ones are fairly bad and things get terrible as you go along. But nothing for me will quite destroy the sport as much as Cronje did. And I don't think there was anything quite as despicable as what happened there, and just in terms of what it is, I think the other ones, Pistorius, not really on the.
Hang on a second, guys. We can't just flip over Hansi like that.
No, we'll come back to him because you said to me, I think one of the comments was that cricket carried on. Cricket carried on, and these other sports are destroyed. But I mean, if you look at cricket, we've now got the IPL and T20 and stuff like that. So I don't know if it really survived.
Yeah,
never really quite got over the what happened, and now IPL, the spawn of Satan, the one that sat on Hansi's shoulder and whispered in his ear.
Whispered in his ear, take a dive in 99.
It's a heavy accusation, but an interesting one, definitely. Like looking at one-day cricket, the 50-over stuff, post the Cronje scandal. And we all complain about how many ARB one-day series there are around the world, and it makes us care less. You see these ARB 3-match series, 5-match series, and they enter and exit your memory very, very quickly. But like every time that there's a kind of surprise-ish result or smirkish, we just always keep thinking back of our mind somewhere, match fixing, little spot fixing somewhere.
But it's a good point you make that Hansi might have killed the 50-over game.
Yeah,
come on,
I
guys.
think also, the
guys,
management
we have to get quoted on this show. Say something really outlandish. Trust me, people will print it.
I mean, but it's got to look into a bit of its downfall for lack of interest. Surely,
yeah,
it has to be a major factor.
Yeah, Gareth, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the timing of it. I think cricket at that stage. I remember being at school and running home at break to go and watch South Africa and Pakistan playing a one-day. I think it was one of the ones that ended up being under review in the end, but being really bleak when the Proteas lost and all that kind of stuff. And you know, I think the management of the game and the amount that they play probably would have killed it anyway. But the hurt and the anger at caring so much about something that no one else really cared about, it never really goes away. And I think cricket for me, it's great to see that Test cricket has kept going, and there's been such a revival in terms of interest and passion in supporters of that. And maybe you can kind of keep going with that. But I don't know. I used to be such a fan of cricket, and I've never been able to really get over it. So.
That is a fair point. But now, Gareth, to play Hansi Scholl's advocate here, would he not be seen as a fall guy in that these things were happening anyway? It was only a matter of time until someone actually was the fall guy, and cricket was doomed to start with. Or am I just being soft?
Yeah, I think you're being soft. I don't think I don't think the captain of any South African team can be involved in outright cheating and get away with it, or be excused as a general symptom of a sport. It just was so, you know.
No, Gareth,
the timing of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I play devil's advocate as well as Hansi plays a phone call from an Indian bookmaker.
As well as that casting of the movie.
How bad was that movie?
That movie was a shock.
That movie was terrible. The best part of that movie
but you know what was
the
interesting
credits.
about the movie? Did you watch the movie? I watched the movie. What was interesting was at the end, he said that he never threw a game. So, you know, maybe we've been a bit harsh if knowing the facts and the truth that's come out. During the plane crash, he said, you know, I never threw a game. So maybe we're being a bit harsh.
yeah, totally. But look, we're looking at brass tacks here. He cheated. He deceived everybody, and people can say what they want, and he can cry all he wants and bring in Jesus and all that kind of stuff. Hansi did actually really study the game of cricket for quite a long time, and it's taken a long time for us to kind of forget about that. But then, as you make a very good point, we haven't forgotten about it because the IPL is on. All the other things are still going on. The 50-over game has never been worse.
Jesus, this is getting a little extended here. It sounds very much like we're blaming Hansi for the IPL, which I think is hard.
Can we blame Hansi for apartheid as well?
Man, okay.
Okay, so moving on from Hansi, I think we give him a fair grilling because we are going to vote for who studied the sport the most. Gareth, next up, we have to talk about Lance Armstrong and the sport of cycling. Because now, you mentioned sports have moved on. I don't think cycling is ever going to move on from this. It's now a hobby in many people's eyes.
Well, if it wasn't a hobby to start with. Because the I don't know, my theory is quite simple, that if it doesn't have a ball, it's not really a sport. So, and I know that's quite controversial, but I mean, a bunch of guys want to get together and cycle. Yeah, fascinating and all good and well, but I don't know. Never really grabbed me that much, and you know, it doesn't really matter.
Well, Gareth, I'm going to again try to put some perspective into this. Cycling is pretty much Europe's biggest summer sport because they don't really know what to do with the ball outside of a football. So look, it's obviously huge over there. I remember actually going to watch a Tour de France once back in '94, and it was one of the coolest little things I've ever done. Mostly because I was 12, but it grips the whole continent. It really is a big deal. And now, look at the population there.
But in terms of sports, if you look at different sporting events and competitions that exist in a sport, take the Tour de France, like the biggest event in cycling for sure. Now, what would be what's the second biggest event yearly in cycling? I don't know, the Giro d'Italia? I'm not up on my cycling, but just that. Is there a bigger discrepancy?
Giro d'Italia is the second biggest one.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Is there
as
any
an event, I think, don't get me wrong, I think as an event, it's phenomenal. And that's, you know, absolutely wonderful. But in terms of a sport, yeah, it's one that comes along and, as Sean says, it comes along and everyone pays attention, and then no one else pays attention again until the next year, which is, if it's such a great sport, I don't know. I think it's a bit.
I'm totally agreeing with Gareth here. I mean, it's really more like, when we criticize Armstrong as we go down, he pretty much killed the Tour de France more than he killed cycling for me, personally. You know, I mean, so yeah, I'm kind of into this theory of if it's not a ball, it's not a sport. I want to investigate it further. I like it.
Oh, that's a whole different discussion. Okay, Gareth, and now the next one for me, and now obviously you mentioned the word Oscar Pistorius at the moment. You're going to go into the murder case, but for me, I think my real grievance with Oscar in a sporting sense is how, again, he did the good old 1-2 deceive. Now, Oscar's whole thing was he was able to run in the able-bodied Olympics because his legs don't give him an advantage, right? And there was all the sympathy and like the ISC obviously being like kind of pressured into, you must let this guy give him a chance. If he qualifies, he's able to run, all this kind of stuff. And he was adamant that he was never going to be at a disadvantage. He then went to the Paralympics, got beaten by a guy with blades that happened to be slightly longer. First thing he says is those blades are illegal, they give him an unfair advantage. I mean, if that doesn't make you look like a cock dancer, I don't know what does.
Oh, no, I mean, I think his ultimate downfall or wherever it is something that's so off the field. It's like in the O.J. Simpson type of category that doesn't really come into the sport, whichever his sport actually may be, whether it was Paralympics or Olympics. But I think I just couldn't understand that whole thing. It was public sentiment getting in the way of common sense, And you look,
well put, yeah.
I look back and you think, now in 20 years' time, is there going to be some kid born with no arms and no legs and half a lung who theoretically would have been a great athlete, and we'll have him in a rocket-powered wheelchair blowing on a straw and racing against Usain Bolt? It makes absolutely no sense to me. So, but once again, I think with all these guys, the governing bodies all have a large part to play in the ultimate downfall. We're going to come to Suarez, and I think you look at the way that they've handled things. You look at Armstrong and the doping, and okay, maybe that was a bit different because they were trying to actually catch him out. But it was just a complete stuff up the way that he became the poster boy for the Olympics and was allowed to run. It didn't make any sense to me, and I think that then the behaviour afterwards and stuff just kind of crossed the I's and dotted the T's on that.
Gareth, I think you make a good point. I don't think he was the right poster boy for the Olympics. I think let's just again try keep some sort of perspective here. Is that yes, what he was doing was kind of noble. He was a guy who was pushing boundaries that were set upon him. Okay, I'll always give him credit for that. Sure, can't fault him there. But you're right. These governing bodies that come out and they're so desperate to get the best press possible. This is the age we live in, unfortunately. It's like now what's happening with Mandela. The guy's never given a chance to actually kind of fade away and just be old. He has to be this forefront guy the whole time. Anyway, it's Oscar had all this kind of stuff heaped upon him, and I think that in itself also ruins the sport, in that he was almost set up to fail. And when he did, true colours came out. I mean, let's be honest, the guy's not exactly a standout gent. Evidence is kind of out there, various forms and sources. So now he was destined to fall, and when he falled, I think Paralympic runners, I think they're worse off as a result. Definitely didn't help them. He went to the Olympics, I don't think.
Well, it's just so one thing about it's just so horrible that I know you've got to be quite technical beforehand when you define like Paralympic runners initially, or Paralympic athletes. You look at the Paralympics on TV and you see, this is the G47 race and this is the T67 and whatever the codes that they use. I get confused all the time. But the fact that could just make it even more technical than most, that would just like the measuring of like people's blades has just gotten even more highlighted than it, and it's just become so hard to follow, to be honest. Not that it wasn't hard beforehand,
Yeah.
Awesome event, lovely, of course it is, but wow, man. To try to make superstars out of it just got so much more harder.
No, exactly. But trying to make superstars, we're talking about someone who learned his trade on the streets in Uruguay, in Montevideo, Luis Suarez. Now, every year I have this sort of, I try to give football a good go. I try to watch the games. I try to get interested. And with the help of our football specialists on the show here, and my girlfriend who actually seems to really love football, I still battle. And I think a lot of it's got to do with guys like Luis Suarez and his antics.
Well, he's just the poster boy, the panto villain of everything kind of just nasty about football.
Compounding
really,
everything, the diving, the spitting, the biting, that's a new one, the sort of racial slurs on the field, the dissent, the scandals. He brings all these things to life, and he does it on an ongoing basis. Like, how do you ever want to get your kid involved in a sport the way he is involved? Ever.
Yeah, he's 1/2 pint of toothy nastiness, isn't he? It's really disgusting. But, again, I think football, I always, growing up, thought it's the world game, it's the global game and everything. And the answer is so simple, and they've never managed to do that for whatever reason. In rugby, you speak badly to a referee, you get a red card.
Absolutely.
Simple as that. And they have all these respect the referee campaigns and all this kind of stuff. But, I mean, it's one simple change, and I can't understand why they let guys get away with it.
Exactly.
And it really, that is the massive detriment of the sport. And a game that's been around for so long. Again, when you look at that, I thought, where we all noticed him, that Uruguay game, with the handball. Rugby, a penalty tries underneath the poles and you kick it up and you get 7 points. There's no like having to convert it. And it's still, football. There could be a penalty goal for an outright.
I agree.
For an outright infringement, straight 1 goal. Thank you. Let's go back to halfway.
Exactly. But the thing is, then the game will literally stop because they'll keep remonstrating with the ref. Now, it's something I picked up watching. I think FIFA. I don't know what year it was, where. They always try to make it very lifelike on the PlayStation and the console games. I think when the players started arguing with the referee on FIFA, that's the sport doomed, because the kids see that, and then they see guys like Suarez. It's like the sport has these horrible undertones, and then guys like him will just sort of amplify it to a point where you can't bring it back, and there you go, sport ruined.
Incidentally, like we're looking at it with rugby this year, now with the like extended versions of the TMOs that we're enjoying. Now, it's not at this level yet. Not nowhere near this level yet, but I want to hold rugby on a higher standard of these kind of things. There is so much backchat and comment and haranguing of the referee these days in rugby compared to what it used to be this season, because the players think that them advise, in my opinion, they think that the referee the players advising the referee of referring back to a decision that they thought was wrong.
Carry on. I've got a point on that. Carry on.
It was bringing a really ugly element into rugby, reminding me of football, and I wanted to go immediately.
I'll tell you what, Sean, if they were to cut out the stupid pre-match referee talking to the front row, all that kind of crap of their film, the rules haven't changed since last week. The guys know what to do. Don't come in here and tell me I've got an interpretation, because then they'll call you that on that in the field. This whole thing about refs getting the cameras, wearing pink, the invention of Steve Walsh, these are things that are bringing it down.
The invention of Steve Walsh. But no, we've chatted a lot about referees, and so much effort has gone towards noticing referees this season, to the detriment of a lot of things in rugby, in my opinion. Where what happened to the days when the good ref was the invisible man on the field.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, any thoughts,
yeah,
Gareth?
I wasn't trying to put rugby up on the pedestal because they're making their own mistakes now, maybe a bit later than other things. But the intention there is clear, that players must respect the referees and things like that. And all it takes is the governing body to back the referees up. And I think in soccer they just don't seem to have that, and it's the big problem. I mean, it would be so simple to say, from tomorrow, anyone who swears at a referee is going to get a red card and a 5-match ban. And if players can't control themselves, then they can spend 5 matches dock pay and watching from the sideline.
But do you not think that comes into money, Gareth? The fact that it's all about the TV ratings. If the guys wouldn't sort of interfere with the ref, the ratings wouldn't be as high. If the guys sit out for like 10 weeks because they shout at the ref, people won't watch the games because certain players aren't playing. Do you think that also has a bit of a bearing on it?
It must do, and obviously, especially with FIFA, it's all money pulling the strings, so you don't know where the money goes and how it works. But it just seems so strange that no one, as I say, common sense doesn't come in and say, you've got these people doing disgusting things, you're teaching children terrible habits. Everyone pays in the long run, because who hasn't been to England and been abused by a 12-year-old yob on the bus?
So true.
It's kind of, everyone pays, and it's no one goes back and says sort it out. And I think football is one thing that with the biggest culprits, and Suarez just seems to be the great highlight package of all the bad, all the bad things.
And he's raising the bar on ill discipline. I think his incident with Evra, this double biting. He bites someone and he gets a couple of games, and I mean, everyone's up in arms saying it's completely unfair. Those Liverpool are saying 10 games is too harsh. He bit someone
for biting someone again. Really?
Oh, people living in dream worlds. Okay,
I mean, just put yourself in those shoes. If someone, now, say I'm a soccer player, if I go down to the fields and I play soccer and someone bites me, there's going to be some serious repercussions there. The guy's not going to, I could end up in jail because, I'm not going to just point to the TV and fall down and hold my arm.
No,
it's pretty grim.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. I mean, like, you didn't even see that kind of stuff in Game of Thrones. Very rough. Gareth, have you got 10 minutes to hang out with us? We just need to go.
I've always.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go into a song, and we're going to come back, and we're actually going to name and shame the person that we think has cocked up their sport the most.
Beautiful.
Okay. We're gonna play a bit of Bob Marley while Sasha asks for cigarettes. Don't forget, Gears coming up next with Sasha Martiningo and Daisy Fensham. Big show today. Schedule. It's another classic from the 90s. Getting some really great tracks out here. This for me was Matric Rage 99 Plate.
Oh yeah, I was at that rage. They played it a lot.
Were you? Of course, we were the same year, yeah. We might have had a beer together, who knew? Gareth, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm there. What was the song? I've now been muted off the good tune.
Oh, of course. That was Bob Marley, Sun is Shining, the Funk Star Deluxe Extended Club Mix.
That was a beautiful moment in musical history.
Beautiful moment, it really was. Okay, guys, so we're going to wrap it up of who's cocked up their sport the most. Sean, we're going to start with you. We just need one name here, basically. Name and shame, and just show some feeling with this one.
Yes. Well, like, you know, it's so mean because, like, the way we define this, like,
not mean. They were.
I don't. No, but I'm just like, I just so want to say Suarez, but he didn't ruin football. He's just the poster boy of everything that I think makes it unwatchable to me, and it's just gotten coming to a head. I really just want to say Suarez. I really do.
Great.
Suarez is so beautiful because it's almost all on the field.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
True. That's very true. Yeah.
He must have the most boring private life. Not that any of us really care. Gareth, who has ruined sport for you the most?
Hansi was that took that whole childhood innocence of sport being the ultimate achievement of human endeavor and ruined it for me. And you still get it in lots of sports, but I think with all these guys, you kind of watch and you think, okay, what's really going on? Is a guy cycling juiced up, or
yeah,
is this guy taking a dive, or what the story is? But yeah, Hansi for me.
Hansi stole your childhood innocence. That's a line that I think makes it. Yeah,
pretty harsh of him, man. Pretty harsh of him.
I had no right to, Gareth, and on behalf of the entire Balls team today, we do offer our sympathies. Look, guys, for me, the guy who ruined sport the most for me is Lance Armstrong. No doubt about it. He had such a great backstory. He deceived so many people. The guy was a pathological liar. He was a psycho. He was intelligent, like most criminals really are. The criminal mind will always succeed in life. He took a sport that, let's be honest, it hasn't got great world appeal. And you guys make a good point that if it doesn't have a ball, it's not a sport. The thing is, though, it was still a very important sport for so many people. And what he's done with it is that he used it as a platform for his own personal gain. He lied, he cheated. He brought a lot of other people down with him.
He gets bonus points for being on Oprah as well.
And he came out on Oprah.
Brought sport into Oprah.
He outed himself on Oprah, and that to me is you're taking sport into murky depths that have never been done before. Suarez has never been on Oprah. Hansi probably would have if he got the opportunity. Was he on Nolene? That's good enough. No, Nolene wasn't around back then.
So Ben, are you not buying the advert? With this is my sport and you can't ruin it. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. You're not buying that because I mean, according to those guys in that very real setting and environment, the sport isn't ruined.
That is one of the worst things I've ever seen on TV. It's right up there with this bad.
Thriving.
It is thriving. We're going to see a lot of it. Oh man!
But it's a very defensive. It's a super sport cycling ad, that right?
Yes.
It's a very defensive, this is my sport, piss off, you can't ruin it. I'm sorry, but it's ruined.
I'm sitting back going, I had no intention to ruin your sport, guys.
It's ruined, and now you guys are getting extra defensive and taking up more of the road in the weekend. Sorry, your sport is ruined, and it's because of Lance Armstrong,
it's
my
like,
clear winner.
Well, some of you cycle past while I'm in the pub. I'm not heckling that you guys are juiced up. Come now.
No. I'm not laughing at your tan lines. It's your thing, but it's been ruined, sadly. Because now, like, this is another thing, and this is where I side with people. Sorry, I'm going to have a bit of a go here. Not a rant, I'm just sharing. A lot of people in their 40s, guys especially, they can't run, right? Because it's impact and it's heavy on the joints. Cycling is one of those things everyone can do just so as to fight obesity and just general sloppiness. But now it's no longer cool to be okay, I know. Bear with me again. It's no longer cool to be in cycling gear having a coffee on a Sunday because Lance ruined it. He's ruined everything. Right there. So
I was having a coffee 2 weeks ago in Gardens. A couple of cyclists were unfortunately sitting next to us with their helmets on and everything. And the one guy rolled in and they said, "Oh, it's the Lance Armstrong." And so maybe they still embrace the kind of persona that they all seem to possess.
Had he not just come from an all-night rave and he was on his bike? Is that why they called him that?
I have no idea, but I mean, it does take a special type of person to I mean, I think that's great, you know, cycling. If you like hitting the road and getting out there and getting some exercise and stuff, but it's a special kind of collective that they've formed, just basically us against the rest of the world. And it doesn't endear them to many people. And Armstrong's pretty good at that, isn't he?
Well, he is. Yeah. So he'll keep going on. He wants to soil triathlons or swimming now, whatever it is. Lance, you've ruined sport, in my personal opinion. I know you're listening.
So how do we decide now?
We're going to have a swing a bit. Darren's going to come in here and decide. Darren, I've just turned you on a mic 3 there because I'm so good at this whole... what we got today, Darren, is that we've got who's ruined sport the most. We've got Luis Suarez, that's Sean's vote. Gareth's vote is Hansi, and my vote is Lance Armstrong. So you need to decide between the three of us as our tiebreaker. Who's ruined sport the most? Who's ruined their sport? Yeah, but he's not a sports star, though.
It's got to be a sports
star. Yeah, no, he's ruined the world.
Every cheating... But there's so many.
It has to be those three. It has to be those three.
One of those three. Well, then I'd go with Suarez because he counts on so many fronts.
Okay, so Darren's gone with Suarez. We have a unanimous winner here. Okay, so Suarez has ruined sport the most then.
A unanimous winner.
A unanimous winner of 2 votes out of 4. That's how it happens here.
That's fair enough.
That's how boxing works as well, doesn't it?
I chose Lance. He's ruined cycling though, completely.
Remember, Suarez has had so many different things.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, we got some mic problems apparently with Darren's mic here. All the red lights are on. This thing's lit up like a Christmas tree.
You got to turn it up. Got to start again.
11 weeks in the job and I can't even do that properly. Sorry, Darren was basically talking to us outside of this whole thing. So Darren says that Suarez has ruined sport the most.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
Out of the candidates that we put forward. Yeah. And I didn't dial up. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to write a full post on this because I think it's a decent topic. And if you do have any other interests or candidates, please tweet us at BLOGZ Radio. We'll take the tweets, maybe a discussion the guys talk about later. Gareth, we're definitely going to have you back on the show sometime soon. You definitely need to add in Sport Billy's absence. Very good of you.
I won't be happy to hear that.
Well, let's be honest. Every Sharks fan's not happy at the moment, so that's fine. But where can guys find you, read your writings, follow you on Twitter, all that kind of stuff?
On the internet,
for a second there, I thought you were going to be vague.
On the internet. So if you go to Google, you're right up there.
Yeah, no, probably Twitter. It's the most fun, I think. It's lots of controversial things happening on a daily basis there. Today, everyone's completely outraged about someone taking a photo of Madiba with a flash camera. Tomorrow,
you are the worst plugger in the world. Plug where we can find you. As in, what's your name? What's the website?
Gareth Rossley on Twitter.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest.
Probably.
Yeah.
And writings during the week?
Yeah, Arena Sport is for the sports stuff. And if you want to check out the SA swimsuit, that's also maybe something that guys and girls can all enjoy together. It's very kind of a behind-the-scenes role that I play there, but a lot of good stuff there.
Great. Gareth, thanks so much for coming on to the show. We will send the SoundCloud on to you if it gets created. And yeah, thanks so much.
Magic. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, we're going to have one quick little track, a little bit of Nirvana. And then, Sean, we need to wrap the show up with who's playing who this weekend. Rounding off with some Nirvana today. The Best of Balls is our theme, our music theme. And we've had some good examples of that. Nirvana with Lithium. Sean, we have to wrap it up. And as always, we need to see what's happening this weekend in Super Rugby. I'm going to go very quickly through this. Sash is about 3 puffs of a cigarette away from hosting Gears. First game, Blues versus Stormers, 9:35. Stormers?
No, just to pick a winner. Heretically, I'm picking Blues for this.
Okay. Next up, we've got Rebels versus Chiefs at 11:40.
Chiefs. I don't think the Rebels have 2 big weeks in a row.
No, the Chiefs, yeah. And then we've got the Highlanders versus Highlanders' first win of the season.
I don't think so. I think
I
the
don't
Sharks
think
have
so
this.
either.
I think the Highlanders are going to have to wait until they play one of the Australian minnows or the Kings I think it'll be one of the guys really in the bottom reach of the table.
Yeah, well,
they need confidence before they get wins against teams like the Sharks.
Yeah, they play the Kings away though. Anyway, next up, 11:40 on Saturday, Force versus Reds.
No, you got to think Reds. I mean, you never know with this conference. Also, the Force beat the Reds in Brisbane, so I think it'll be a bit of payback for
I think
for
that's
the
a
Reds.
particularly tough one if we go with the weekend. I'm gonna go Reds.
Yeah, I'm going Reds too.
When in doubt, pick the ex-champions. Next up, we've got the Kings hosting the Waratahs at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Ooh, as much as I'd love to say the Kings, I think I've got to say the Waratahs.
Nah, a little bit too much fight there, I think, for them. And then we've got the Bulls versus the Hurricanes of Pretoria. Hurricanes can't seem to find a hooker. Got to go Bulls, huh?
Can't find a hooker, but they can find Thrash, it seems. You got to go Bulls. You got to go Bulls with Loftus.
Okay, and then rounding off the weekend, Brumbies versus Crusaders. Gotta go Brumbies here.
Do you have to? Yeah,
I bet you do.
Yeah, come on, let's go Brumbies. Let's go Brumbies.
All right, well, that's it for this week. Stay tuned for Sasha Martiningo and Daisy Fensham on Gears. They're talking about Mozambique holidays. Sasha's going to obviously share his natural wit and charm. And there's also some other live reads which he'll no doubt nail start to finish. Sean, thanks so much as always, sitting here.
Always a pleasure.
Getting the most out of our experience, and to everyone else in another studio. Catch us back next week, same time, 10 till 12. We are playing out with our last request of the week, and this is for station manager Simon Hill. He went through our playlist, and for him and him alone, we have Bon Jovi, Bed of Roses.